Um, so you are seeing the whiteboard, right? Recording started. Looks like you guys are not responding at all.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Visible, right? तो बीच-बीच में response करते रहो, नहीं तो it looks like I'm talking to a wall. Okay. All right. So I think last time we did some formula I have showed you. Now one of the formula I told you is very important, and that one was your density. Density of weight sample by gamma is equals to 1 minus P 1 plus W GS gamma W. I would ask you to read the book and see the derivation of this equation. Now I give you a problem where you can use this formula or you can use any other, even using the first principle also you can use. A soil has, or a soil sample rather, has 20% moisture content. Okay, this has 20% moisture content. A soil sample has 20% moisture content. The volume of the sample is 75 centimeter cube. Volume of the sample, and its weight is 150 gram. Okay, so a soil sample has 20% moisture content. That sample volume is 75 centimeter cube. Its weight is 150 gram. The specific gravity of grain, so let me just give you GS, is 2.6. The specific gravity of the grain is 2.6. Now you have to determine number one, dry unit weight. Number one. Number two, you have to find out porosity. Number three, okay, number two, these two you do. So everybody understood the problem? We have a soil sample, and that soil sample has 20% moisture in it, moisture content. The volume of the sample is 75 centimeter cube and its weight is 150 gram. GS, that means the grain density, is given 2.6. You have to find out dry unit weight, gamma D, and the porosity Are you doing it? Maybe you can find the number 2 first. That will be easier. I have given you the formula above. Everything is given. Very easy. Find number 2. Who has completed? Anybody who has done? What is gamma here? Can anybody tell me what is gamma?
$19.6.
Huh?
W by V. Weight by volume.
Weight by volume. How much is the weight? It is given, right?
150 grams.
Yeah. So 150 by 75. So this will be gram per cc. Go ahead by this, no problem. So this is you are giving me about 2. So if you put
Sir.
this, yeah.
So this is just the mass. We have to multiply it with 9.8 or 10 to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
it weight.
yeah. Right. That is correct. You see, in this equation, you can omit the g from this thing also, right?
Yeah.
Or okay, whatever you said, let me go that way. That is also fine. You know what she said is also very correct. That we should not use like this. So what we'll use 150. This is kg into 9.81 divided by 75 centimeter cube into 10 to the power minus 3. Right? It is centimeter cube, so we have to make it meter cube. So 1 meter cube is how many centimeter cube? I think I have done something wrong. Centimeter is 100 minus
10 to the power minus 6.
1. That is one more is there. Sorry, 1 cm cube is the meter cube, na? Okay, so this one is also fine. This one will give you a 19.62 kilonewton per meter cube. You can see here it is not exactly 2 because of this one. Okay, so it is 19.2 kilonewton per meter. So now that formula is 19.62 is 1 minus P into 1.2 into GS is given into this. Now you can use 10 kilonewton per meter cube or 9.81 or whatever, sorry. 9.81 you will use, not 10, because this is your 9.81 I have used. So this is gamma W. So now you will get P. So the P become 35.8%. Okay, this is what we get P. So porosity of that soil sample is 35.8%. So that much is volume with respect to the total volume. Now how will find the dry unit weight?
So why did you take gamma W to be 9.81?
Because this is the G, na? This much kilonewton per meter cube. Do not use 10. Okay, because you are using G as 9.81. So 9.81 into your 1000 kg, again divided by 1000 because we are making it kilonewton. You understand what I'm saying? 1 kg become what? The 1000 kg become 9.81 kilonewton if the G is 9.81. Okay. It's a kilonewton. You can see this. This is 10 power. Okay. Any question here? Okay. Now, how do you find the number 1?
Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, from where you have written 1.2, it is given.
Okay. You see the formula? This W, it says 20%, so 0.2. See, 20% moisture content is given. This is the formula, and
Yes,
you
sir, yes.
have to derive it. This is in the book. I have not I think last time probably I have not shown you the derivation, but it's very easy. You can see. This is a very important formula in this weight volume relationship. Okay, many problems can be solved by this. Now tell me, how do I find 1 dry unit weight? Gamma D. Who will tell me that? It is now very easy. You have already told me where from I got this. This one will be now in many different way it can be done. This one now you will put 1.0 because it is dry. It is not there. Porosity remains the same into 2.6. This is about 16.33 kilonewton per meter. That means the same soil sample, if it is not water filled, completely dry, then its unit weight is 16.33 kilonewton per meter. Okay. Any questions regarding this? It is okay, right? Okay. Second problem from the book itself. I'm doing it from the book. A dry sandstone sample of diameter 22 mm. A dry sandstone sample. So sandstone sample diameter is equals to 22 mm. Length is 35 mm. Okay. And weight is 30 gram. So far clear? So we have taken a small sample, cylindrical sample. जिसका length है 35, diameter is 22, and its weight is 30 gram. So this is length and this is D. The sample is cast completely. Okay. And And what we find is W3, if you remember that picnometer, W3 we find 91 gram and W4 is 72 gram. Okay, this is the net weight. Okay, net weight. That means W3 is also minus that empty bottle and everything is means without the empty bottle weight is taken out. So it is 91 gram and W4 is 72 gram. Now you have to determine GS and porosity. This is basically the problem of your experiment. Exactly, this is the data they will give you. Or if you were here, you would have find out this data and then do that experiment. Is the problem clear to everybody? A sandstone sample having diameter 22 mm, length 35 mm, weight is 30 gram. W3 and W4. W3, can anyone tell me what it is?
Picnometer plus sample plus water.
Perfect. And W4 is picnometer plus
Water.
So this is given see here W1, whether it is there or not there doesn't matter, it will anyway cancel. You can consider with W1. So can you do it or let me do it? Then it may be a little bit faster. I have to cover something. So you see, weight of the sample is W2 minus W1, and this is given as 30 gram. Okay. Or if you want to convert everything in Newton, in the book I have done it so that students do not get confused. So this is converted into Newton. Okay, kitna Newton. Volume of the sample in the picnometer, the amount of volume it is displacing. In the picnometer, we can find out W4 minus W1 and again minus W2 minus 3 minus W2, this one, and this we can manipulate it like this, like W4 is given 72 minus W1 minus this one is given 90 minus 30 minus W1, right? This is basically W2. Oh, can't like it. This is basically W2. So you can see here, this will come if you are considering the density of the water is 1 gram per cc. Finally, if you do everything, it will come 0.011 meter cube. 0.011 meter cube. This is what we are getting. So this is the volume displaced by the crust sample. Okay. This is the volume of that crust sample. Okay, in the picnometer we found this. Now we already found out the weight and we already know the volume, so we can calculate GS. It is very simple now. Is 0.011 2943 is the Newton divided by 0.011. If this is Newton, so this one also have to be converted into Newton because this is in meter cube. So we have to multiply by 9.81. So that one will give me 2.727. Okay, so this we get the
Excuse me, sir. Sir, why are you multiplying with 9.1, 9.8?
see, this is meter cube. This is
Sir,
in
but in
Newton.
our experiment, we have calculated without multiplying it.
I didn't
Only
get it.
taking
Say
mass.
it again.
Sir, in our experiment, first experiment, we have calculated without multiplying value of gravity.
Yeah, you have never converted into meter cube. See, that is, you have always done it centimeter cube, and this is 1 gram per centimeter cube is the density you have considered. Okay, so that's why you never multiply because it is 1. But as I'm telling you, if you consider G, if you are converting into Newton, see here I have already multiplied 9.81 and that need to be cancelled out because I converted into weight. Okay, in your experiment you are always in mass. You have never converted into weight. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Here it is converted to weight.
Yes.
So you keep it in 30 gram. This in centimeter cube, you do not have to bring 9.81. Same result you will get, exactly the same.
Yes, sir, we will get same value because
Because it will
denominator
cancel.
and numerator.
Yeah, here is there is one 9.81 sitting, right? That one will cancel. Because in this 0.2943, there is a 9.81. Okay. So once you know GS, how you calculate now the porosity? Or can you find out porosity from here? How you have calculated porosity in your experiment after this? Can anybody tell me? We have calculated the grain density. Now, how do I find the porosity?
Sir, volume of grain divided by total volume of sample.
Volume not grain, volume of void. Volume of void by the total volume. Total volume you already know here, right? Right here. You can find this out. Now, solid volume you have already found out. So, V minus, if this is V, you calculate, minus Vs by V. This will give you the porosity. Okay, D and L is given, so you will be able to calculate the total volume. Vs you have already calculated here. So porosity is void volume divided by the total volume. Okay. So this is how we also calculate. This is, I told you, this is the absolute porosity what you have found out. So is this clear? Or अभी confusion है कुछ? I think there are many problems given in the exercise of this book. So you should solve them. Otherwise, the concept will not be clear. Okay. Okay. Now I go to today's lecture. There are some more relationships which are very, very important, and one of these relationship I am not sure whether last time I gave you or not. This is the volume of water. We can also find W1 minus P GS into total volume. Okay. All these formulas you can derive by yourself from the first principle. Okay. And in the book it is given. So you see the volume of water present in a wet sample can be related to this. Okay. This is the total volume of the sample. Okay. Total volume of the sample, including water, air, everything, and solid. Another important formula is saturation, degree of saturation. This is formula number 2.20 is WGS by mu. This is void ratio. Now, this is a very important relationship, that degree of saturation is related to moisture content. I told you degree of saturation is volume dependent, okay, and moisture content is weight dependent, okay. So there is a relationship, and that's why this GS is sitting here, and this is the void ratio, okay. So this is also a very, very important relationship, that saturation level is related to this. Now, if it is 100% saturation, that means if this is 1, that means there is no air space. It's all are full with water. Then you can see there is a relationship. The void ratio is equals to this into GS. This is when it is 100% saturated. When it is 100% saturated, we know the void ratio will be moisture content multiplied by this grain density. Now, void ratio, as you know, is related to porosity. And how it is related? Because porosity is this by 1 plus V. Okay, so you can quickly find out P plus PV is V. So we can know V is equals to P by 1 minus P, right? Now, as you can see here, it is related to porosity also. Okay, so you can see how the moisture content is related to also porosity through void ratio. Okay, so all are interrelated. The weight and volume, they are all interrelated to each other. It's very easy to measure in weight. It's very difficult to measure in volume, and that's why this relationship is very important. Volume and weight. Okay. So like that, various interesting relationships are there in weight and volume of soil, sometimes also of rocks, some or coal. You know, those are very important information to us. Now, another concept in there is what we call how many of you heard of this hydraulic conductivity? How many of you heard a term called hydraulic conductivity? How many conductivity you know? Can you give me an example of conductivity? any sorts of conductivity.
Sir, electrical, thermal, hydraulic.
Electrical, thermal, you already know. Thermal also you know, thermal conductivity.
Yes, sir.
Have you studied? Not yet.
Yes, sir. We have studied it in class 11th and 12th.
Okay. Little bit in the thermodynamics, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think if you are doing thermodynamics, then next semester, whenever you do, you will know much detailed way. Now, electrical conductivity, you already know that the current flows through a conductor because of what?
Free electrons.
Okay, but because of what is the driving force there?
Sir, potential difference.
Voltage.
Between 2 points.
Potential is correct. Now, if the water is flowing from point A to point B, then what is the driving force?
Sir, potential energy.
Okay. What do you call
Change
it?
in pressure, sir.
Yeah, change in pressure. That's a pressure difference. So here basically potential is basically here pressure. Okay, and that pressure may be coming from difference in the potential, that means the height, difference in already the velocity. So there is a kinetic energy there, and there is a datum or a static, we call it a static potential difference. So there are many different ways. These are basically three ways, not many. These three ways. The potential difference can happen. Here, potential meaning the pressure difference can happen, and the water will flow. Now, this is very good and well defined in fluid mechanics. Now, whatever we are talking here so far is water flowing through pipe. Okay. Now, what happens when water flows through rock or a soil? Do you believe water is flowing through soil?
Sir, it flows through interconnected pores.
How do you know it is flowing? Do you know?
Sir, I have read the book before the class.
Okay, very good. But can anybody give any example? How do you know it is flowing? Through rocks? Have you seen anywhere water coming out of rock?
We can if we wear the soil at one end, then we can find that another end is also wet by water. So that means water flows through the soil.
Good. That's a good. Have you seen it, or you have also read it? I'm saying whether you have seen it.
Yes.
Okay, you have seen it.
Yes, sir.
Have anybody seen how does the river Narmada form in Madhya Pradesh? This is a very good example. They have also made a platform to see this. You know, Narmada river is basically groundwater. It is all this mountain, this water. This goes, this rainwater or wherever from it is coming, mostly from the rain. It goes inside the ground, and there is a permeable layer. And this permeable layer, see the word permeable means it is allowing the flow. That means there is interconnected pores. Now, this permeable layer will have an impermeable layer just beneath that. Otherwise, water would have flowed vertically downward. It does, but they also hit a impermeable layer, and as a result, the water has no other place to go because it cannot move anyway down there. Sometimes there is a cap rock. We also call it a cap rock, maybe above to this. So they And then if this is happen, I think in geology they will tell you, or if they do not tell you, you ask that professor that tell us about aquifer. Okay, confined aquifer, unconfined aquifer, and there are, I think, another also. So how does this groundwater basically form there? They will tell you. Okay. So our job is to go into engineering side of it. How does it flow? Okay, we wanted to know how does it flow? Is this flow different than the pipe flow? Okay, water flowing through pipe. The question is 110% it is different. Okay, it is nowhere related to pipe flow. Even the governing equation is different. If you studied fluid mechanics, you probably heard of Stokes' law or Navier-Stokes law. It's a very, very famous law by which water flow through pipeline. But here, a thing called Darcy's law. Do you know the difference between law and rule and all this? Like we call Newton law of motion. Why not Newton rule of motion? Can
Because
anybody
it
answer?
can't be broken.
Yes. This is absolutely written in stone. Okay. There is no changing it. This is the final thing. When this happens, it's become law. Now this is Darcy's law. Now, what Darcy has said that if it is a laminar flow, I hope you probably know what is laminar flow. There are many conditions. Laminar flow, maybe you will not know because this is in fluid mechanics. I'm not sure how much knowledge you have in fluid mechanics. There will be no temperature change. Okay, this will not change. Laminar flow means this is related to velocity. Means it's a very slow moving. Okay, there is a something called Reynolds number, and that must be less than 2000 and all this. But forget about this. It's a very slow moving. Okay, it's not like, you know, water is flowing through the mountain in a very high speed. Those kind of flow, Darcy's law will not be valid. So it's a very laminar flow. Those kind of flow we call turbulent flow. Okay, this is not turbulent, it's a laminar. Temperature will not change. Okay. Then, and another thing, which is another important thing, is called steady state. Steady state flow. Steady state meaning that the velocity is not changing with time. Okay, it is like a means nothing is changing with time anymore. It's now a constant velocity, or the amount of water coming in one place and coming out from another place is same. Like if there is a pebble like this, and let's say this is point A and this is point B, this is pebble, sand, whatever is there, and water is coming in here and coming out from this side. Then whatever the quantity coming in and quantity coming out are same. Okay, then it is steady state. But this is not acting as a sink or source. This is not acting as a sink or source. Means no mass is, you know, adding here, or no mass is, you know, storing there. Whatever Q is coming, this Q is coming out. And if these three conditions more or less satisfy, then Darcy's law is applicable. And what he says is, this will be related to the velocity by which this is coming and going, because they are same. So the velocity is minus some k, we write delta H by delta L. Let's say this is delta L. And del H is the difference in pressure. So let's say this, if I have to write, then I have to write HA minus HB by LB minus LA. Okay. Means if I have to very explicitly write this, the velocity of this fluid or water is related to a constant k, and you note this minus sign, and is HA minus HB by LB minus LA. So that is the del L. Now you are seeing, of course, why this is minus sign is given.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So what Q is representing here?
Q is the quantity, velocity into area. Quantity. Okay. You know the unit of quantity? Meter cube per second. Volume. Volume rate. Volume rate. Okay, it's the volume rate. Okay, that is what is the quantity. Okay, meter cube per second. This is what in the experiment we measure. How much centimeter cube per minute is coming out. This is what we measure. I think if this experiment has not been done, and if they do it, then they will measure it for you and they will give you this data. Q. Okay. Now can anyone tell me why I have put minus sign? Now H is the potential, or we call it head. I am going to explain it to you. What is this head? Why the minus sign? This one.
Sir, to make velocity positive, because it will water will flow from high point to low point.
Yeah. Your second statement is correct. Say here this is HA is greater than HB. Okay, HA is greater than HB. However, the fluid is flowing towards the lower pressure side, and that's why you need this negative sign, because this gradient, we call it hydraulic gradient, is basically negative here. This value will be negative. So you need a negative gradient to have the fluid to flow. Otherwise, fluid will not flow. Okay. The fluid will never flow to the positive gradient. Okay. It has to be in the negative gradient. And since velocity we are showing as a positive quantity here, so there has to be minus. And K is a constant, and this will be in a positive term. Okay. So now what is H? So H, I told you before, is the pressure difference or the potential difference. Now you can see it is more or less the formula remains more or less same as you know with the current flow and this thing. There is also potential difference is equals to what? The flow, that is what is I, your current, and multiply by the resistance, right? Now this is basically that resistance you can think of. You see, this is my potential difference, del H. Now del H is coming as V. I will make it as a Q after some time. This del L by K. Now you see, this is nothing but, let's say negative sign is there. This is nothing but your resistance, right? So if you want to now compare delta V with I into R, so you see this is becoming your I and this is your R. So this is basically giving you the resistance. You understand? So it is basically the same thing what you have studied in current. Water also it is the same. And the first time the Darcy has given this, I think a French scientist, and that's why it is in his name, that Darcy's law. Okay. Now what is H? What is this component and how we can know this? Now H has three components, as I told you. We call it head, pressure head, pressure head. Okay. Now this H is equals to some P by gamma, let's say W, plus V square by 2G plus some H. Okay. Now this is pressure. Okay. Just a minute. Let me load that thing. I think I have a graphics for you. But drawing these graphics will be very difficult for me. Let me load it for you. Just a minute. I think I should have in OneNote the graphics. I got it. So you are seeing these graphics? This hydraulic gradient? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you see here you will understand the pressure gradient. See, let's say from any datum, say fluid will flow from point A to point B. No question about that. Okay. This we know. Now let's say from datum, this is the potential difference HA and HB. So just by potential difference also it will flow. There is no problem. Now let's assume at this particular location there is already a pressure of the fluid which is PA. And at this point, I try to keep mostly in the middle point, and this is the pressure B. Now this pressure, normally the unit of the pressure is what? What is the unit of the pressure?
Newton per
Meter square.
Pascal.
Newton per meter square. Now, if I divide it by density of water, what happened to its unit? Like here, this PA, what will be unit of this?
So unit of length.
Yeah, so meter. So you see, the datum is also given in meter. Now this, that means pressure divided by density. Okay, pressure divided by density is also the unit is meter, and so this is we call pressure head. So the P by gamma, if it the I'm writing water because I'm considering water. This is we call pressure head. This is potential head or the geostatic or just because of the elevation, whatever is the head. And this is we call velocity head. Now, what is this velocity head? Is you see velocity square divided by 2g. Now you can also see that one. This unit here will also be am, the meter. Okay, meter. Now the pressure head and velocity head v square by 2g. Now you are seeing this formulation. This is coming from kinetic energy. If I'm not getting into that, this is coming from static pressure. And this is the elevation or potential energy, this one, H. So you see, the three different way the head can be formed. So that's why in the formula we have written H. Okay, H. So that these three combined is giving me the HA and HB. Okay, is that clear? It is not a single term, not only pressure, not only due to the datum difference, not datum, the elevation difference. It is the total combined. So there may be a velocity here which is causing a certain kinetic energy, and from that the head is, or the pressure difference, the head difference is created. So this combined is the pressure head, we call it. Okay. Now, as I told you here, since it's a laminar flow and we consider the velocity is so low, so we more or less consider the velocity same between A and B. Okay, there is not much difference. So as compared to pressure and elevation difference on a head generated by pressure and the elevation, this will be much higher than the kinetic one. So it is normally basically pressure by density plus H, capital H. This is what we normally consider. And then this is basically become the hydraulic gradient as I give you here. And this hydraulic gradient then generally causing this flow. This is what it is being considered. This hydraulic gradient is causing this velocity here. This is what Darcy has proven long time ago. Okay, and this is still valid. So for a laminar horizontal or vertical flow, or we call it a linear flow, for a linear flow, either horizontally vertical, we normally write Q, that means the quantity is minus Ka, A is the area, cross sectional area, into dH by dl. Or let's say we write X. So what is here? We have flow coming from this side to this side. So there is a gradient, this dH dx. So there will be a gradient. If this is dH and dx, this is the gradient we are getting. And area of cross section is given as A. Then quantity will write like this. Okay. For a linear flow, whether it's a vertical or horizontal, and this is basically the sample which is generating the resistance. Okay, this is generating the resistance. Okay, so in differential form, for a linear flow, Darcy's law is written like this. Okay. Now, our aim is to find K. You see, we still do not, we are looking for that hydraulic gradient, what will be that. So let's say for a length L, having cross-sectional area A and length L, can we find that out? I think question is yes. So what we are going to do now, this formula, we are going to write Q dx and we'll integrate it minus A dH. So we'll write this is LA to LB and this is HA to HB. Okay. And if you do that, you will find kappa is Q by A LB minus LA by HA minus HB. So this is what we call hydraulic conductivity. And if you do the test, then all these data will be given to you. This L will be given to you, which is basically LB minus LA. And this hydraulic head will be also given to you. And cross-sectional area also you will know. You are going to measure this Q. Okay, we are going to measure this Q. Now you see here, this one will remain the same. In an experiment, this one remains the same. Okay, this is constant. A is constant. This we vary. Okay, so what I can write now, you can see that Q is equals to some constant. Okay, some constant. So these all are constant. LB minus LA and A is constant. So if I take it this side, this is a K constant into, we will find here HA into HB, sorry, HA minus HB. Let's say this is some H. This one is H. Now if I plot this CH, I write here and Q right here, then I will see a straight line type of thing going like this. And slope of this is my K. So to find out K, I have to do 3-4 experiments. One experiment is not enough. You understand what I'm saying? Then, so what we are going to do, we are going to change the H. We'll change H. That means the hydraulic head. And as we change the hydraulic head, Q will change. The quantity will be more. So as the quantity increases, we will get a straight line like this. And this is like becoming y equals to mx. So this line will pass through center. So now if you have 3-4 points, I can draw a straight line and the slope of the straight line is my hydraulic conductivity. Okay, so this is how we calculate hydraulic conductivity of a particular soil or a particular sand or a particular rock in the laboratory. Okay, this is one of the ways. I'm not sure whether they have told you already in the lab, but this is how we do it. Any questions so far for linear flow? We'll do some problem. Let me just finish the radial flow. Any problems so far you understood? Now for radial flow.
Sir,
Now, yeah.
this LA and LB is measured from some reference, isn't it? I mean, A is the point.
No. Oh, wait. Let me see whether I have. That figure is not there. Is there in the book? Do you have the book with you? Then I can tell you which page. I'm not sure though whether you have the book. It's page number 28. Let me try to draw it for you.
Sir, if HB minus HA is bearing, then how can LB minus LA would be constant?
I'm telling you because you have not seen. Let me draw it. You know. It's a very simple experiment. This is particle pipe, okay, and this particle pipe is holded here by a stand. Okay. Now this is the water bath. Pipe is here. Now we put there is a perforated. This is a cylindrical. Now we put a perforated cap. Okay, it's like this, and there is a lot of holes. Okay, on here. So this is put there. Then we put some kind of a what we call a porous stone. Okay, of certain thickness, very porous. This is a very porous sandstone. This put on top of this. Okay, so the porous stone will be here. Then we fill up with the sample. Okay, whatever sand, soil, whatever is there, we fill it up. So this become my length of that LA or LB minus LA. This is like LB minus LA. Okay, or that is what I told you. Now, where from the water comes? So now we make, and the water is sent from here. Okay, what we do, there is a pipeline we add, and this water gets filled here, the entire sample. So water is coming out also. Do you think so? Because this is porous, this is also porous. So water will finally come through this and it will come here and gradually fill. Now we control, there is a valve here, we control the flow such that iska jo height hai, this remains constant. So that is what I told you, no, this we make steady state. So this flow rate and this flow rate we maintain. Okay, now. So water coming in and water coming out will remain same. Okay. So this giving me the age, the required age. Now, what happened is, this is one experiment. Then we start the experiment. Okay, and we see the level increase. Kitna level, we note the initial level, and then we see how much level has increased after, let's say, 5 minutes. So that gives me the quantity. You understand? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, you are maintaining the level of height, then HB minus HA is also constant.
Yeah, this is we are keeping this Q and this Q will remain same.
Yes, sir. So I am saying that you are maintaining the level of height.
Level
So
which is
HB
coming out from here. This we are measuring. We measure the initial height, then after 5 minutes, what is the height?
So HB minus HA representing that change.
Yeah, that's quantity. How much quantity? Because this quantity is coming through this, right? So that's give me 1 Q versus 1 H. Then what we do, we stop this. We have 3 this thing. Then we make another one here. A little above. Because we already have this pipe is already made. So we increase the height H. You know, this potential height we increase. As we are increasing the potential height, so what is happening? Our Q will increase now for the same 5 minutes. We'll see more Q as accumulated. So that gives me second data. Then we again stop these. Both of them are stopped. Then we again another one. So we do basically repeat 3 times. So then we get 3 data. One data may be here, one data here, one data. Then we draw the line and find out. Okay, this is how. This is a very standard experiment by ISRM standard. Okay, this diameter has to be 75 mm. They have already said at least 75 mm. So our instrument here, what we have, it's a very simple. It is also as per the standard of the ISRM. Okay, so this is how we find out the value K. Now, you have not asked me what is the normally value comes for a sand. Do you know how much it comes for a sand? Let's say normal sand, river sand. कितना हो सकता है? Meter per second. See, what is the unit of K? Can anybody tell me what is the unit? K का unit क्या है? What is the unit of K?
Sir, meter per second.
इसका unit है ये. Meter per second
Velocity.
means velocity. So you are measuring basically the velocity. Okay, through this. Okay. Now this velocity for sand type of thing will be when it's a very coarse sand, it may be some millimeter per second, maybe 5 millimeter per second. It may be that high also. But if it's a very adhesive type soil, no, it will not allow. It may be 10 to the power minus 3 millimeter per second. Okay. For rock, it may go up to 10 to the power minus 5 millimeter per second. It is not permeable at all. Okay, it doesn't allow you to permeate. The water flow is not allowed. You know, 10 to the power minus 5 millimeter per second means it is not moving at all. Okay. Sometime when in groundwater, I can tell you in some area in Rajasthan, maybe in Delhi, that zone also, the velocity is very low through groundwater velocity. We have one time measured in one mine here. The velocity was a few millimeter in a day. Finally, you have to go into day unit. Means minute, hour में कुछ मिल ही नहीं रहा है. There is no data is coming. So we continued up to day to see what is the value. So that kind of rock soil is also means this will not allow the flow. Okay. Now the another parameter which is also important other than hydraulic conductivity, which define this flow, is called permeability. Permeability. Now it is Py. Now the permeability is related to hydraulic conductivity, and you note the equation. This small k is equals to, if permeability is written with big K, then gamma of the fluid by what we call viscosity. Does anybody knows what is viscosity? And let's say if it is water, it is gamma of water. And this capital K is permeability. Okay, the big K. Now, what is viscosity?
Sir, fluid friction.
Huh?
Sir, resistance between the layers of fluid.
Okay. Shear resistance. Okay, you are probably right. The more the viscous, more will be the shear resistance. That means the resistance to layering of the fluid. Anybody else? Okay.
Sir, what are you asking?
Water?
Sir, what did you ask? Can you repeat the question?
What do you understand by viscosity? There's a
Sir,
terminology called
resistance in flow of water or
Oh.
something flow of fluid.
What resistance? The resistance comes from, like resistance come from wall.
Internal
Okay, let's say if
internal
it is
resistance.
pipe, resistance, wall is also giving resistance.
Sir, internal resistance by its
Exactly. You have to tell that. That's why it is called intrinsic viscosity. Okay, it is its internal resistance, or basically fluid flow through layer. Okay, layer wise. So there you need basically the one shear. It says that fluid is flowed due to shear forces. Okay, that's why through a pipe the flow profile looks like this. You know that the maximum is here. If you see the profile, then this is the front of the fluid. This is how it flows. Now, why do you think it is maximum here and the velocity is also maximum here? Now, why do you think it is maximum here? Because this one is giving the resistance. This is the wall resistance. And then gradually it gets very less because it is flowing through layer by layer. And this layer is giving this resistance, and that resistance coming from viscosity. If it is too much viscous, like tar, the flow profile will be more or less same. It is flow like a what do you call the plug or a toothpaste. Okay, it will flow like it's a highly viscous material. So the flow will be not like, but the water flow will be like parabolic shape. And for a toothpaste, even if you put, you will see it is coming like a almost straight line. Okay, because of this high resistance, high intrinsic resistance of that shear force. Now, viscosity unit is this unit, we call it what do you call it? Permeability is poise. Sorry, it call is poise, and millidarcy is the unit of permeability. Darcy is the unit of permeability. Normally, a Darcy is a very big unit, like crore. Okay, 1 crore rupees. It's a very big unit. So Darcy is also like that. So it's normally in a rock, it is millidarcy, very low. It's not so like 10 millidarcy, 30 millidarcy. Like in a oil field, if the permeability is 50 millidarcy, they will be so happy. Okay, 100 means they will jump with joy that all oil will flow, no problem. Okay, and if you say 1 darcy, then so you know everybody will get bonus. Okay, because all oil will flow. The problem with petroleum field is their permeability is very low, and that's why we have to do many tricks to increase that permeability. Now, the Darcy unit is Newton. Sorry, not Newton. The permeability unit is meters. Okay. The millidarcy, ultimately it is the colloquial name or in the field name, but actually it is meter square in our units in the SI unit system. Okay. And the poise, or we call it this unit Pascal second. This is the unit in our this thing in a SI unit, Pascal second, and in field unit it's called millipoise or centipoise in that. So 1 poise is, that is the, basically these are all named by the scientists. 1 poise is 0.1 pascals. Okay, this is the what it goes, and I think probably 1 millidarcy is 1.013 into 10 to the power minus 12 meters square, something like this. Okay, the unit. So these are field unit and these are SI units. Okay, this is what it is. So in a ballpark area, you have to know that sand will be a few millimeter per second. The soil will be maybe 10 to the power minus 2 to 10 to the power minus 3 millimeter per second. This K value, hydraulic conductivity value. And if you go further down, then you are going to impermeable layer. The fluid will not flow or the water will not flow. Okay. So is that clear about the units? Because you always understand the units. Okay. Otherwise, sometimes we confuse what we are talking about. Okay, now I go to radial flow, and why radial flow is important for mining. Probably only in shaft or tunnel it is important, but in petroleum it is basically all radial flow. It's not linear flow. Why I am saying you? let's say we have a reservoir like this. I'm just drawing it with a big cylindrical reservoir. And I made a hole here to get the oil. Now this is the pay zone where oil is there. Okay. Now if I make a vertical well to get the oil from below ground, then oil is going to flow like this, right? So that's why it is called radial flow. Okay, that's why it is the radial flow. So it is no longer linear flow. Even in here also, everywhere, these will flow like this, even in the bottom also. So it will coming towards the center of that hole or the well bore. Now let's say this well bore has a radius which is RB, and this is the radius. Let's say I call it RA. This is the, I'm considering still circular for simplicity. So the now fluid will flow from RA, that radius, towards this well bore. Okay, is that clear? So I take a just a 2D cut of it. So this is my RB, oil bore, and this is RA. Now if I take a thin strip here, which is, let's say, my DR, so any distance R, I'm taking a thin strip DR. Okay. So what I see is the differential equation, or that governing equation what I write for linear flow. How does it change here? Here I will write the Q, which is coming through this small dr, is K area. I'll tell you what is the area, dH by dr, right? Now, why I'm writing it like this? Now, dH is, let's say this is HA, and right here is HB. HB is more or less atmospheric, or even we do a negative pressure also. It's a suction pressure also we can create. Now this is what we call reservoir pressure. Okay, reservoir pressure, which is almost 75 to 80 megapascal, sometimes 100 megapascal also. So this fluid is under pressure, and the fluid is flowing from this direction, from HA to HB. Now here you can see the hydraulic gradient. This is, I have not put the negative sign. The reason is here the hydraulic gradient is positive, because you see the R is also being measured from low point to the higher point, the higher head point. So the direction of increasing H and direction of increasing R is also same. So if I plot a diagram here, if this is R, let's say this is RB and RA, then this thing will be also this. This is H. So this is, let's say, HB, and this is HA. So it is going like something like in this direction. So as the R is increasing, so H is also increasing. So this is positive by default. That's why that negative sign is not there. Okay. So the Q is equals to K into A dH by dR. This is what Darcy's law for a radial flow. Darcy's law for a radial flow. Okay. So if this is the case, then what is A? A is nothing but the area of whatever this thing is making. Anywhere you are seeing, and this. So if this is your saying, so this will be the area. So 2 pi r into the length of the page on. So this is nothing but 2 pi r into length of the page on, sorry, dH by dR, or the reservoir rod, whatever you call it. So this is becoming now my differential equation. Now if I have to find K, then I take Q this side and dr 2 pi by r pi L also I keep here, integration, there is integration dH. Now when R is equals to RB, this is HB, and when R equals to RA, this is HA. So we will find here, this is with the log, and so this implies you can do it very well. I'm just writing the formula 2 pi L into log RA by RB divided by HA minus B. This becomes my K for a radial flow. So you are seeing it's a little different, okay, not like the linear one. So for a radial flow, the hydraulic conductivity is Q by 2 pi L. Now you can see this is not an easy experiment to do in the lab. Okay. First of all, to make a sample like this and then make a fluid flow like that in all directions is not an easy task. So that's why we avoid doing this kind of experiment in the field, in the lab. So this is mostly theoretical, but this put in place for petroleum engineers. I think in a petroleum engineering department, they will be doing this experiment, okay, this radial flow. For us, we normally do the linear one. Okay, our case is linear. I think the rest of the thing, there are just 2 things are left. I think what I'll do next week, I'm going to do the quantitative way. So let me finish the theory. Whatever we have here. There are 2 things are now left, which is equivalent hydraulic conductivity. So let me complete that, and next week we are going to solve some problems. Okay, let us go this way. So equivalent hydraulic conductivity. Sometimes we use it It is basically need based only if you actually encounter that kind of rock formation, then only. So let me explain it to you. Let's say first the linear flow. Like you have done series and parallel, combination of electrical conductivity or electrical resistance. So here is also the same. So first thing, let's say I have layer this is K1, K2, and let's say this is Kn. There are n layer. Dot 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 I can give n layer. Fluid is coming from this side and it is coming that side. This length are L1, L2, and Ln. Okay. Now, if I have to replace with a single layer, which is K equivalent, same Q will come and same Q will out. Length remain. So L is equals to this L is equals to summation of Li. The length also remains same. Can you tell me what is the expression of K equivalent? Can you do it? Tell me an expression of K equivalent. Question is clear? There are n number of layers through which water is flowing as shown in the figure. Okay. And they have variable.
It will be 1 by K equivalent is equal to 1 by K1 plus 1 by K2, something like that.
What did you say? 1 by K1?
Plus 1 by K2 plus 1 by K3.
Have you done it or just guessing it? What about the L? L will not come. L1, L2 up to Ln. What is changing here? Pressure drop, right? So the total pressure drop remains the same. So here we have two pressure drops, or sorry, n number of pressure drops. Let's say del H1, del H2, and del Hn. And here is total del H, and this will be summation of del Hi. Now you can do it. So for each layer, you can write del H1 because the formula is already given to you. Anybody has done? Nobody?
Sir, L1 by K1 plus L2 by K2 plus L3 by.
Summation of Li by summation of Li by Ki. Okay, should I do it or you can do it? क्या करना है? Okay, let me do. Now, del H1, can anybody tell me what it is? Del H1? You tell me what will be del H1 because Q is same. This is with L1. So what is the formula? Q by A, because cross-sectional area also remains the same, by L1 by K1. Is it true? Similarly, del H2 will be Q by A, L2 by K2, and so on. So if you sum them up, you will get del H is equals to Q by A summation of Li by Ki. This you are getting from here. And from here, from the second drawing, you are getting this Q by A summation of Li because it's the total length. Sorry, summation of Li by K equivalent. So now these two are equated, ये कट जाएगा, so K equivalent will be summation of Li divided by this. Now can you find out what will be for the radial one? For the radial one, what will be that? Now, the drawing भी थोड़ा difficult है, so let me draw it for you. It's a very unusually deposited, never ever deposits like this. You know, if the rock layers are like that, so this is one rock layer, this is another one, then maybe another one like this. Then fluid is flowing through radially like that. You understand how the fluid is flowing? So this is one rock layer. This may be another rock layer. Then this may be another rock layer. Okay, then fluid is flowing like this. Now, if you do that, then you can do it in your home, but I'm just writing the equation. K equivalent for series in radial will be ln Rn by R0. Here I am writing this is R0 and Rn is the last one. Summation of ln Ri by Ri minus 1 divided by Ki. It's more or less same, only thing the ln is coming in. Okay, so this is what will be the K equivalent for radial series. Okay, this is for radial series. Now I keep it for you so that you do it at your home and do not see the book. First you try whether you can derive it. Now for parallel, linear, parallel. So linear parallel will be something like this. Fluid is coming like that and coming this way. Same Q coming out. K1, K2, K3. L remain the same, but cross-sectional area, this is changing. This thickness, let's say I do not put T, I put T. T1, T2, and let's say T. Can anybody tell me what will be this? Linear parallel. This is not K3, it is Kn.
Sir, K1 A1 plus K2 A2 plus K3 A3 divided by A1 plus A2 plus A3.
You are right. Basically at T. So K equivalent will be summation of KITI by summation of TI. Just weighted average type. Okay. Everybody got that? For parallel, okay, the pressure drop remains the same, only Q divides. Okay, Q become Q1, Q2, Q3, Qn. The pressure drop remains the same. Okay. Now, anybody find out what will be for the radial? Now, let me draw it, then you will be knowing. So, radial will be like this. Now, let's say the layer is like that. Okay. And this is the hole here. So, this is K1, K2, and Kn. And now they will have L1, L2, and Ln. This is quite possible in petroleum industry. This does happen. Okay, the page on may have variable permeabilities or hydraulic conductivities. Okay, and so we normally calculate the equivalent on an average how much we can get. So this is radial parallel. Radial flow and rocks are in parallel formation. What will be K equivalent? What is K equivalent?
Sir, K1 L1 plus K2 L2 plus K3 L3 upon L1 plus L2 plus L3.
It is the same formula, okay. So these two are same formula. Does other people are doing it or not? Or only one person is telling me?
Yes, sir.
Everybody got that? Saurabh seems to be understood this. What about, let me see, who are else there? Let me see, some are from the, where are all these? See more. Niharika Singh, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Have you understood?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. What about Santosh Hembram? Are you there?
Yes, sir. Understood.
You're there. Not sleeping. Okay, very good. Okay, tell me, have you understood?
Yes, sir.
तो एग्जाम में प्रॉब्लम आने से हो जाएगा?
Yes, sir.
श्योर? ओके,
Yes.
और एक को पूछते हैं, नैन्सी मंडल. Nancy, are you
Yes,
there?
sir. Yes, sir.
Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, since we have maybe 5 to 10 minutes left, let me give you one problem. Not from this. This one we will do next time. Okay, you do a problem, I'm just telling you. A mass of moist soil having volume 0.005 meter cube. The mass is 10 kg. Volume 0.005 meter cube. And volume is 10 kg. Sorry, mass is 10 kg. Moisture content is 13% and specific gravity of soil solid is 2.65. Calculate void ratio of those samples. Question is understood?
So can you repeat it once again?
Mass of a moist soil, moist means it's wet, okay, it is not dry. The volume is 0.005 meter cube and its mass is 10 kg. Moisture content is 13% and GS, that means the specific gravity of the grain, is 2.65. Calculate the void ratio. Void ratio. First you calculate porosity, from porosity void ratio. Parthapratim Karan, are you doing it? Then Pedi Reddy Surya Prakash, are you there? नहीं है. Surya Prakash. Priyank Seth, are you there? Nobody is there.
Sir, void ratio 0.497.
0.4. I have not calculated. You tell me what you have done.
So I use the formula density is equals to 1 minus porosity into 1 plus moisture content into specific gravity into density of water.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Now you have put everything.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. 0.4972.
0.49. You got porosity or void ratio?
Void ratio.
0.49. Okay.
0.497.
So what? 0.9497. Good. So you got P, and from P you could calculate void ratio. Now can you tell me what is degree of saturation S then? That's the reason I'm asking you. W into GS by void ratio. Okay. So W you know. So how much is this?
0.693.
So let's say almost 70%. 70. Now you see what is moisture content? 13%. So 13% moisture content in the soil, making it almost 70% saturated. So that means if the moisture content is about 15% or 16%, this will become 100%, close to 100%. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? So you see this, there is a difference between S and W. This you have to understand. One is based on mass, another is based on volume. Now normally all these, what we call the surface runoff of rainwater. Surface runoff is when this become 100%. Okay, there is no space to go anymore. But there may be hardly moisture content may be hardly 20%, but saturation is already 100%. Okay, this distinction you must understand by this. Then you will understand what is the in a relationship between weight and volume. Okay, and porosity and pore space. This need to be understood very carefully here. Okay. So take a rest of the problem we will solve next class, and then we will start a new topic, stresses in underground opening. Okay, so let me just a minute. Let me make the attendance. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.